Here's a look at update number 11 for the MD-87 project. First, let me apologize. I know it's been a long time since I've done an update, and over 30 days in fact. But a lot has taken place, and I'm not one to rush the project, so if you just bear with me, I am happy to share what I come up with and actually how I get there, but I won't bore you with a bunch of videos that just show things that really don't matter, because usually you wind up creating something 2 or 3 times before you finally decide on what to use. But at any rate, let's go on. With this airliner, I want to be able to carry this airliner without a lot of issues whenever it comes to loading it and unloading it and transporting it to the field. So what I'm going to do is have a center section that'll stay bolted to the fuselage, and then have wing panels that will attach at the field. So what I'm going to be doing in this update is showing you how I went about creating the templates, as well as cutting the taper for the outer panels on the MD-87 wing. So let me just back up and give you an idea. As you can see, there has a lot of work been going on with the wing. Various issues, things I had to figure out how to solve. With a lot of patience and a lot of effort and time, I was able to do that. And if I back on out of here, I'm just kind of giving you an overview of where we're at. You can see here, this was actually the design, the final. You can see I have a left wing panel, a right wing panel, and then a center panel. So this is the final, where we're going to have the center panel is going to be made up of 3 different panels. You're going to have the 2 outer panels, which are here and here. They're tapered in the opposite direction, so they'll have to be cut independently. So basically the wing is going to be cut in 5 sections. You'll have a left outer panel, a left inner panel, a center section, a right inner panel, and a right outer panel. With that, let's go on and take a look at my templates. You can see here, this is actually the way this thing was coming together. We have a template for the tip. We have a template for the center seam here, where the outer and inner panels will join, and that again will split. And then I have a center section here, which will be a constant chord of about 10.5 to 11 inches. That'll be a straight section, but the other 2 sections will be tapered, so they require ribs. This rib will actually work here as well as in this location. This rib will work here as well as in this location, and then of course these 2 ribs here we'll be using today in this update to cut the outer panels left and right. I have a technique that I use to cut wings, and you'll see that it actually not only works really well, but it ensures that your wings are exactly the same. So with that said, let me go ahead and get into the workshop. And by the way, Tom is helping me do this, and Tom has never cut any wings before, so this was an experience for him, and he knows I appreciate his help with this project, as he's been a great help. So have a few other people. Also, I'd like to give mention, the feather cut unit that I'm using was actually given to me by a good friend at the flying field, Jack. I told him that I would be using it for this project, so here's a look at the feather cut system in action. First, I drew up the airfoil that I wanted to use, and then I had to make some templates, and I use Formica for the templates. And the Formica will last a pretty good while, and it also is pretty easy to work with, and the wire doesn't seem to attack it like it would some other softer woods. Whenever it comes to making the templates, a couple things you want to remember. Number one, if you're making a constant chord wing, in other words, both sides are the same size, then you can just simply make 2 templates and they will be exactly what you need on both sides. If you're making a tapered wing, therefore you need a template with a taper. Then what you wind up doing is on the side that's the smaller size, you want to make that a little bit thicker than the finished core that you want, for the simple fact that whenever you're using a bow, a hot wire, to cut the foam, the wire never really touches the foam if everything is set properly and you're cutting it, the foam the way it should be cut. So what happens is the wire gets hot and it melts the foam ahead of the wire. And for that reason, the longer the wire sits still, the more heat is going to be trapped and the more removal of foam, or the more kerf you're going to have. So because of the distance here and the amount of taper, then I know that I need to add a little bit more to the thickness, overall thickness of this tip than I would here. So in this case, I made my templates. This one here I made the size, and the tip template I made about 1/8 of an inch thicker than it normally would have been, for the simple fact that I had to allow for the extra heat that's going to be developed here where the wire is traveling a shorter distance. So with that said, let me show you a little bit about how I went about making the base here. And this is a simple way to cut cores and cut consistent cores, and I'll show you what I mean about consistent cores by using the two cores that we cut. Now Tom actually helped me cut these, and you'll see him in the video, and he's been a pretty good help with my little project here. But more importantly, I can tell you that Tom has never cut any foam wings, and you can see that by standing these wings on their leading edge, if you look at the shape, they are a perfect match. This comes back to using the same template to cut both the left and the right, and also the technique that I use to cut them. What I do is I make and you can see here I just printed this out on the computer, taped the pieces together to create the actual size of my foam that I needed for the core. Then I cut the foam, of course, using my CNC machine, but I mean you could literally do this using a hot wire and just putting the paper down, marking it, and then using some sort of squaring mechanism to cut straight down, so that you wind up with a core that is the actual size, outer diameters or outer perimeter of your wing. Once you have that, then a lot of guys will take and pin or nail or even hot glue the templates to the foam. Well, you can do that, that'll work. What I do is I make a board that is oversized. In other words, this board is about a 1/16 larger than my foam, so just on the ends. So if I lay the foam core down, it's exactly the same here, but on the end I wind up with a 1/16 inch gap on one end if I push it all the way to the other end. Also, I take my template and I put this down on the table, and then I set my template on here, and you see I have a series of holes in my template, and these holes actually line up, they match with the other template. So if I take this template and put it up here and I line these holes up, you can see you can do it like that. Now those holes are right above those, so I can screw this template in place. Now I could set my foam core in here, line my foam up on the front, it will be lined up on the back, shift it all the way to the center, because that's the most important dimension. The tip the tip dimension won't matter, but I'm going to be joining this, so this has to be flush. Whenever I cut the other one, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to move it up here flush. But at any rate, now all I got to do is load a blank in here, and then I can cut it. Take my blank out, and I can put the other blank in. But one important thing I have to do, I have to take this template off, flip my base over, remount my template. Now, one other thing about this template that you should pay close attention to, and that is, notice now if I turn the template this way, my holes still line up so that I can screw this template in place. Now I'm cutting the opposite side. This would be cutting the right side, and then this would be cutting the left side. Notice my trailing edge is here and the leading edge up there. So this would cut the top, then I could take that one off, screw this one on, and that would cut the bottom. And again, to cut the other side, flip it over. Now this is the trailing edge, so you'd wind up turning this around. You'll see that in the video, but still we mount the templates the same way. This is the top, and then this would be the bottom. And again, the benefit of this is the wire is always going downhill, and you don't have to adjust or do anything with your templates. You'll also notice that once I screw these there, I can put the foam in place, weight the foam so it can't move, and then make the cut. And then I leave the foam there with the weight on it, unscrew the screws for the templates, screw the other one in place, and then make the cut again. So it's actually pretty simple. Now I'm going to show you how we went about cutting these cores. So this is our airfoil. This is the top. This would be the bottom. And line up all the holes. And it presents us with the top and the bottom of the airfoil. This would be the tip. Again, line up the holes. We wind up with the top and the bottom of the airfoil. Again, line up the holes. We wind up with the top and the bottom.
This is the point where the outer portion of the wing will plug into the root.
Right. This is the tip. This is the inboard. And this is right next to the fuselage. This would be the center section with the fuselage between it. So it's going to be straight here, and then it'll start to taper after it comes out of the fuselage.
So these will be attached to a board, and then the foam will sit between it.
Yep.
And then the wire will cut the cores.
The wire will start here up against the foam. The foam actually starts here, and the wire is pulled across, ending at the trailing edge.
Okay, here we go.
Halfway.
Yeah, I'm about that. but you're pushing this bow towards me, and the angle's getting off. There you are. Now you're coming back where you belong. Okay.
I'm 3 inches away.
I'm 1 inch away.
Okay, that's about right, because now
I'm about a ½ inch.
okay, wonderful, perfect. Coming out right now.
Yep.
Okay, hit your switch. Okay.
How long does the wire stay hot after
Grab
you turn it off?
It's cool now.
Oh, wow, okay.
I moved it. I've got the thing. Go ahead. There you go.
Okay.
All right, now we have to change the templates.
Yep. There's a screwdriver right behind you.
Guess that means you don't want to change the templates by itself.
Well, I can if you got something else you got to do. Why is your side moving quicker than because the weight's over there?
Here, that's a good question. I'll explain this. Okay, the way this system works is we have a bar here. Let me take the weight off of it. This weight right here dictates how fast it moves.
Right.
But we have a bar here. Okay, and now if you'll hold that bar right there for just a moment. Now we'll let go of the bar here. Okay, so now the bar's hanging. Notice we got a line attached to this point, and then we got a line attached over here. This line here, because it's the distance from here to here is less than the distance from here to here, this line here travels more as this bar moves down. So because of the taper being what it is,
there's really no way to have them come out the same.
The bar, as it moves down, it's moving
faster.
This line faster than it's moving that one.
Right.
And so what you do, the way you set this up, is you calculate, you pick a point. Here I've picked the point of 90, and then the other point you just keep adjusting until you get the travel so that it starts at the point up here, and when you get to this point here, then this one over here is at that point as well.
This one needs some adjusting.
So this one you do the adjusting. You got to leave one of them. You could even do it the other way, where you leave that one and adjust on this one. But generally it's easier to adjust the small one.
So which way would this have to go to speed it up? Out here.
It goes out,
yeah,
right?
It goes that
right.
way.
If it's not moving far enough, then you would move it out. If it's moving too far, then you can move it in. All right, here we go. We're about halfway there.
Yep, about halfway here.
Let me know when you get about an inch from the end.
Okay. It's about an inch now.
Don't worry. I'm at the end.
About a ½ inch. Oh, okay. Okay.
Hold the wire. Hold this.
Okay, I got it. moment of truth. I said, not so good here.
That's okay, that's the trailing edge.
Yeah. The rest of it is smooth as a baby's.
That's actually really good. Believe it or not, that is awesome.
This looks gonna be fine, huh?
That is awesome. Yeah. Yep, that's perfect.